so true. We're rising up. It's me and you.
Are you 18 years and older? Do you work for less than $400,000 per month? Vote APNU. Get one free house lot. Yes, vote for the PAM.
APNU, rise Guyana shine. Together we build, now is the time. With Aubrey strong and heart so true. We're rising up, it's me and you.
Are you a small contractor? Tired of paying bribes? Vote APNU. Vote for a guaranteed 20% of government contractors. Vote for the PAM. Vote for training and financing. Vote for empowerment. Vote APNU. Putting people first.
Calling on your program and use those ease looking safe and add beating what barracks.
Morning, morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is 14 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. You tune to the Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. It's another Thursday, and so it's Mr. Winston Jordan's day. I'm not going to start my rant because then Mr. Jordan would not be able to come on until about 10 o'clock. Because I got a lot, as I say, I got a lot on my stomach this morning, on my chest that I need to get out. But I'm going to hold back. Hold back. Tomorrow's Free Talk Friday. We're going to talk tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last program before elections day. I would rather suspect I might have to do an election weekend special if I can find the time back because I'm so pressed. Nevertheless, how you been? How was it yesterday? How was it last night? How are you feeling this morning? How your plans elections day coming along? I see the big man don't telling me, Bonnie, you continue into my time. I shut my mouth and call you. You want no problem with them big people this way. Big people that hold some serious grudges, you know. I'm going to hear anger, respect for age, and we young people, you know, we place and all kind of thing. Mr. Jordan, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Kadaki. Good morning, or you?
My apologies for bringing you on late.
Well, I just heard you saying you got a lot on your chest, and perhaps what you might have should have done is to maybe cut short the repeat and get out the stuff off your chest, because it might be so much that even bringing a weekend program might not be sufficient. What do you think?
Nah, don't fret yourself with all of them, man. Time is a revealer and healer of all things. Don't worry.
Yes, indeed.
In China, they got the what they call them I call them trashing room. When you feel intention, you go in and you broke up everything in there. You you broke up everything and you feel good again.
Feel good again, exactly.
Sometimes I might take it out in my backyard.
It's called releasing pent-up energy, you know.
Yeah.
In a way that is not destructive to the society. It might be destructive to. That is why in those rooms they put old furniture and stuff, you know,
right,
so that the value would not be great when you destroy it. You're expected to destroy it, you know.
But tell me something. Boxing a couple people who behaving senseless wrong their head. That is disruptive.
If you go on the theory that perhaps abnormal behavior is a result of some screw that gone loose, then you know maybe boxing might be one of the ways.
You might be putting the screw back into place.
But it's good that we could laugh, you know, it's good that we could laugh for all these things, and thankful towards you again, all those who made it, and condolences to the families of all those who did not make it, particularly those 3 people who died on the Linden Highway. I mean, I thought by now Linden Highway had taken enough deaths, but over the last, I would say, 2 years, there are abnormally large number of people who died on the Linden Highway, and I think yesterday or the day before, horrific accidents. 3 people literally were burnt alive. So sad, you know. And then, of course, the domestic abuse that continues to haunt Guyana, and the tragic ending of 2 people 2 days ago, and the wounding of their son. You know, that is also very bad. And you know, as I said, we can talk all the time about how many castles we have built and bridges we have poured concrete and fireworks and so on. But we don't seem to have fireworks for the social issues, the human issues. You know, like how we have been able to reduce domestic violence. Right? And I'm going to be a little bit of English today. It is violence, not violence. I keep hearing people who should know better saying violence. It's not violence, it's violence. Right? Just as it is not film, but film, you know, and so on. So that's a short teaching moment. There was
but Mr. Jordan, the phoneticans, if I get it right this morning, I will tell you is that it is not violence neither. It is violence. Because they say when 2 vowels walk together, the first one says its name and the other one shut up. Says VILENCE.
I was doing that only for emphasis rather than the ethic part. You know, I was doing that to show the difference between voy and vile, right? But yes, it's violence. It's violence. I was just trying to tell VOI, you know, as opposed to VIO, you know, kind of. But yes, you're absolutely correct. It's violence, right? So I hope we're not gonna hear any more violence, you know. Really, my teacher used to put some lights in us.
But as I interrupted you, something I wanted to say on that particular incident with the couple and their child.
Yes.
Because I read the account of a friend, I would say a friend of the deceased woman. If I were to assume that account is accurate or true, that's a clear indication of the end result when parents do not tell their children that they demonstrate witness. Right? Let me put it like that. Because according to the report, the young man was basically supported in every which way, regardless of how terrible he is or misbehaved by his mother. I mean, I wasn't there, I don't know. But it's a lesson for parents to pay attention to. Tell your children when they're wrong, whether it's boy or girl. You know, tell your children because the end result ain't gonna be nice. Remember the boy who bite the mother ears according to parables?
Yes. And
so Jordan, I'm done with you.
No, I agree. No, and I was going to say that my mom used to relate to me when they used to hang people in Guyana. That the hour before the individual was hanged, he asked to see his mother to give her his last words or something that effect. And he told her to come close to him so he could whisper in her ears. And the act of her coming close gave him the reach that he required and bit off her ears, right? And told her if she had only taught him the right things, he would not have been where he was, you know, a short time from death, you know. So that I don't know whether it's true or it's the parable or whatever, but I think the message was clear. The message was clear. One, the instructions got to start from the home, followed by the environment, because, you know, it takes a whole village to raise a child. You know, we keep talking that without understanding the importance of it. These days, we don't even seem to have the village, much less the home, because you got little children bringing up little children, right? I mean, it was unheard of before that you're hearing people, our grandmothers at early 20s and so on. But that is actually a reality. So you have children who bringing up children who raising children, and you don't have the whole extended family anymore and so on. So there are a lot of issues. But it's not a program that we can deal with all those issues and so on. But it clearly shows that we need governments to understand that it's not all about concrete. It's not all about steel and planks and how many ribbons you can cut for the next hotel and so on, while people, the ones who count, are either dying, suffering, or are in desperation. You know, it's all well and good for Ali to go and run immediately and say, I had a conversation with the child, and so on. But under this government here, domestic abuse and domestic violence in the fastest growing economy has increased substantially. Substantially. Shouldn't there be a correlation between fastest growth? Shouldn't there be a negative correlation between fastest growth and domestic violence and the other issues, social issues? You run out right away, election season, I had a conversation with the child and so on. But this thing had been going on and on and on and on. And we seem not able to nip it in the bud and so on. And quite frankly, I haven't seen manifestos also that pay great attention, except recent one that I saw with Simona Brooms. And yes, and some talk about by St. Louis about emphasis on that area. But it has to move beyond talk, and it has to move beyond setting up a halfway shelter here and a halfway shelter there. Those must form part of an elaborate and comprehensive system that includes also the economic part, because a lot of people are under stress. A lot of people are under stress. You go to church and the Bible teaches that the man is the head of the home, and you come back and you find a different story and so on. So all of these matters, as I said, I'm not qualified to really deal with them. I'm not a psychologist, a sociologist, and all this kind of thing. But I think we need more of this talk, more of this conversation, continuous conversation, not trappings like men on mission and so on. I saw a letter in today's papers where a letter writer is saying, what happened to the original objective of men on mission that was supposed to talk to men, talk about men issues and all this kind of thing. Instead, they have lapsed into building homes and so on. So that's a big issue, and we can't deal with it. But I would like to, while I'm at it, make a shout out to. I didn't realize I have so many followers now, but I'm now learning I've got followers all over the place, and this is good because we're reaching a wider audience, and they're getting the message and they're hearing the message, and it's important that they get that message, because all they do every day, faced with a media that is almost exclusively government owned or government related, whether it's public or private. So it's good that we are able in our little small way to give them views, right? And we aim here to give the truth, to clarify misconceptions and so on. So shout out to the taxi drivers and so on who listen to this program, who look forward to listening to this program on Thursday. Shout out to the market vendors also, who also, I understand, pay rapt attention when 7:30 come around, wanting to know when I'm going to come on. And all the others in the other areas, the policemen who sometimes when they see me coming to court and so on, they give me a thumbs up and so forth. I say, continue to do the good work that you're doing, and continue to listen to valid, credible, truthful information. We don't have any agenda other than to give you the truth, and so that you can make your objective decisions and so on. All right. While I'm at it also, I would like to send out hearty congratulations to Dr. Toussaint Boyce, who has been named the new managing director of Republic Bank Guyana Limited. Right? This exemplary son of the soil, whose first name, Toussaint, came from a Haitian revolutionary freedom fighter, Toussaint Louverture, who together with others like Dessalines and so forth, were able to rout the French army and allow Haiti to become the earliest republic in this part of the world, right? In this part of the world, right? And he has shown that indomitable spirit of his ancestors and the person for whom he is named. And he has shown that both in his academic scholarship and excellence and his work habit. He's perhaps the best known alumnus from President's College, the President's College that Forbes Bonham had in mind to be that school of excellence on par with, if not above, Queen's College. All right, today, President's College is a shadow of itself, of the school that Bonham intended. But Toussaint Boyce is a product of the original President's College. And he has gone on to excel in education. He got his LLB degree, law degree from University of Guyana, where he passed with distinction, went on to UWI to obtain his legal education certificate that allows him to practice in courts. Then he went on to the prestigious Harvard University, which we well know is a top Ivy League university, where he completed his master's in law. And then he went on to another prestigious university that ranks in the top 5 in the world, as indeed Harvard does. He went on to Cambridge University and did his doctorate in law and financial law and so on. So he has done exceptionally well, right? The institution to which he has now risen to the top, he had worked there before. He has worked in Wall Street, and his last job was at the Caribbean Development Bank, where for many years he headed the integrity unit and so on. So this is an exceptional individual, and who's still very young, And the reason why I highlight all of his qualifications and experience and so on is because they love to denigrate us, tell us we don't have heroes. Imagine little twits being given access on Black-owned radio station to tell us that we don't have heroes. And when they say that, we must point to heroes like Toussaint Boyce, who's excelled, and so many others. But he's following a long line of Black scholars, inventors, and so on. And when they say that, we must be able to point them to them. But they know they can say that because some of us are too timid in confronting them. So congratulations to Dr. Boyce, and I know you will perform well. I know him from my sojourns at Caribbean Development Bank as a governor on that bank, and I know him otherwise, right? And he's a very humble individual, and I know he will perform well and he will continue to do well. And that allows me to segue into a related topic, a related topic. And I want to read a letter by Lincoln Lewis, veteran trade unionist, that appeared in the Kaitor News of August 25th, 2025. It might have escaped a lot of people, and so that's why I want to read it, because it's a powerful letter with a powerful message, and I think it resonates for all of us on this live and all of us who are listening, all of those who are listening. And it says, "Dear editor, I stand here today boiling with righteous fury to declare, not in my name, not in the name of the African race, not in the name of our ancestors who toiled, bled, and died to give us dignity and a place in this land we built with our bare hands. Leonard Craig and Prime Minister Mark Phillips recently hurled lewd and reckless words on the campaign trail are disgusting. These two men, whom the People's Progressive Party Civic loves to parade as leaders of the African community, do not represent the true spirit of the race. They are not symbols of black pride. They are tools in a wicked strategy meant to demean the African race, to reduce us to the fringe of society and justify our continued marginalization and disrespect. Let the world know who the African Guyanese are. We descend from a people who endured the whip, who bore the scars of slavery, who hauled cane down their backs under the scorching sun, and who, even when their freedom was only partially during those 4 years of amelioration between 1834 and 1838, still managed to save, buy plantations, establish villages, build a village economy, and create local government. We did all this while the system conspired to keep us broken. That is the greatness of the African Guyanese. But what do we see today? Those in the PPP regime find the weakest among us, men who lack pride and a sense of history, and they parade them like court jesters. These so-called leaders willingly humiliate themselves for political favor, laughing on stage, using vulgarity as currency, thinking that the masses' applause means power. They are not leading, they are performing. They are not raising our people, they are dragging our image through the gutter. It is a calculated move. The PPP see as a history of using a few pliable black faces to justify the abuse of the African race. They prop them up, and through them try to say that we, a proud and accomplished people, are nothing more than commoners, servants, bodyguards, or door openers. They reduce our work to spectacles and silence our pain by making a mockery of our pride. Let us be clear. The African Guyanese people are not and will never be anyone's clowns. We have stood tall in every field: law, labor, religion, politics, science, education, innovation, and so on. We were never given our place. We carved it out with blood and willpower. And no amount of stage vulgarity or court jester behavior from Craig, Phillips, or any other political pawn will change that truth. The behavior we witnessed was not just personal disgrace, it was an insult to a legacy carved through slavery, emancipation, resistance, and achievement. The insane vulgarity wasn't just a joke, it was a signal that our culture, our history, and our dignity are seen as disposable. And we can be used at any point in time by others to manifest their dirt and execute their dirty deeds. That is the real message, and it must be condemned without apology. This is bigger than Craig or Phillips. This is about a political culture that seeks to demean the African race and justify our mistreatment by propping up empty vessels to dance while others reap the rewards. But we are not blind. We see the game and we reject it. So I say again, not in my name, not in the name of the African race. These disgraceful men do not speak for us. They do not represent the legacy of our foreparents. They are not the standard. They are the shame. Our ancestors fought and died for freedom, for dignity, for equality, not for us to be dragged back into the mud by men with no pride and no purpose. They represent those who hired them, on whose platform they flaunt their vulgarity, their political bosses. Our duty, every man, woman of the African race, is to preserve the honor of those who came before us, to defend the truth of who we are, and to ensure that our children inherit not disgrace, but Black excellence and glory. Those who disgrace us must be called out, shunned, and replaced with leaders who carry themselves with pride and fight for their people with backbone, not buffoonery. We are not jesters. We are not property. We are a proud African people, builders of this nation, defenders of freedom, and we will not be defined by the vulgarity of political puppets. Let them dance some massa if they wish, but not in our name. No decent Guyanese, regardless of race, color, class, or creed, should find this behavior acceptable. As a collective, we shall all condemn it. It is a dangerous influence for all Guyanese children and families. All Guyana has a responsibility to resist this abomination unleashed on our land. Sincerely, Lincoln Lewis. You got to admit, this is a powerful letter, and we should read it, and we should read it to our friends and our family and our neighbors. And we should cut it out and frame it as to who we are, what we stand for, in the name of our ancestors. And this letter reminds me of a well-known former WPA, former only because she's dead, and that's Andai. And I remember her saying, not in my name, in regards to some other issue in the PNC. So this is another one, not in my name. And certainly not in my name. These people are not my representatives, and they will never be. And the likes of all of them who go there only for transactional purposes and not to uplift our race and not to get benefits that are due to us, but to uplift themselves. So I thought that part of my program, I should associate it with this letter for its power of the writing and the power it projects. Moving right along. So I've been watching, as usual, the campaign. This is how many? Today is the 28th. 4 days to E-Day. 4 days to E-Day. And I would want to use my couple minutes or so to talk about some issues as it relates, obviously, to the elections. Don't think the audience expected any better. So I've been looking at the different meetings, and I've been reading aspects of manifestos and so on. I think the last one to be launched was the ALP of Simona Brooms. And I don't think she called it a manifesto. There are a couple of things in there that I liked. Like, for example, her suggestion of a ministry of happiness. Because this whole country stress. This whole country stress. And a ministry of happiness that concentrates on distressing and social cohesion and all the other things is not a bad idea, and that will look at issues like domestic violence and so on. It's not a bad idea. But I will come back eventually to this point. One only can figure what could have happened if they all coalesce rather than where they are today. But we'll come back on that point. But I feel energized, notwithstanding pain and whatever. I feel energized. I feel energized by the APNU, you know, not so long ago, less than a year ago, or even less than that. People that pronounced the death of the APNU, in particular the PNC. And they were already writing the requiem mass and the rites. But you see, sometimes, as they say, whenever you're digging a grave for somebody, make certain you dig one for you too. And this is exactly what has been happening now. From the ashes has risen an APNU that is energized, renewed vigor, and so on. And the sprouts are the young people who have come to the fore and who are being exposed. They're the only major party in this race who have been exposing youngsters. In the other party, the youngsters are buried, while the oldsters take front stage. But they're the first one who talking about youngsters and how much youngsters are on their list. But these youngsters are buried. They don't take the spotlight. But this is where the APNU has run away with them. Youngsters all over the place. And not any youngsters. They project a level of confidence that I have not seen recently. And certainly not since the Barnum era, when they had a large number of people coming out of the young socialist movement. I feel I have a sense that our future, should these people rise to the top, I feel our country will be in good hands. And I'm saying, once they are nurtured, once they understand the rough and tumble about politics, and once they stay the course, I have no doubt that we will be hearing a lot about them. I advise them to read widely. Read about the history of this country. Read about the history of the party to which you now belong. Understand, not only just read and understand, analyze. Seek clarity. Seek the wisdom of the elders. Hamilton Green, Vincent Alexander, Yvonne Harewood Ben, and all the elders and stalwarts. You see Koyano, if you get a chance to meet him. I don't know that he meets people, but all the elders seek, read widely. Don't just run to the internet. Read widely. Get the books. Read widely. If you could get Destiny to Mole, Western Trial, and all those different other books that they have. Read widely, right? And feed your mind in as much as other people will be feeding your mind. And you will make it. You have great talent. I listened to Eden Corbin extensive program that he had with Mark Benchcop the other day, 2 days ago. Wonderful. Look at the confidence of this guy. Right? At 27 years, he already has an LLM in law. And all these people that I'm talking about, they have graduated from top-notch universities. Universities that are well known. You don't have to go and dig up to find them. And their theses, where they have done completed PhDs, not honorary PhDs, where they have completed PhD, their theses are readily available. Not like someone who the university, reputable as it is, doesn't have this thesis in their library, cannot be found anywhere on the regular sites. already educational sites and so on. It is deeply buried, if indeed one exists. But I can find Dr. Boyce's thesis. I can find his thesis. I can find Dr. David Hines' thesis. Dr. Shamir's thesis. But I can't find this individual's thesis, no matter how I search. And no matter how many requests are made to the university, you get turned down. What is there to hide? What is there to hide? And they're asking us to trust them. How can we? How can we? So I'm energized about these young people. I'm energized by their dynamism. And every day that I listen to these stomping ground speeches, I see another one emerge. I was listening to one at Wakenham, and there was a verbal. There seemed to be quite a few of them, but there was the woman there on the stomping ground. She wasn't too well, but she delivered what I consider to be a very powerful speech, short as it was, and so on. So, for those who are writing the requiem for the PNC, come APNU, I know they know now that they have a fight on their hands. And it is for us to hold the line. Hold the line, ye fighting men and women. For victory is in sight. Victory is near. Hold the line. And you know, I'm encouraged by the emerging and enthusiasm. No, I'm encouraged by the energy and enthusiasm of these youngsters. And also I'm encouraged by the return of a few lost sons and daughters. I was shocked a couple nights ago when I saw Dr. Henry Jeffrey on an APNU platform in Plaisance. Shocked. Shocked in the sense that Jeffrey prior was with the PNC. At one time, he was principal of the Kurukuru Co-op College. I believe he had some differences or difficulties with Bornum or vice versa. And come 1992, he opted to switch. He opted to switch. Not unlike the likes of the Van West Charles and so on. But he opted to switch in 1992, claiming to be joining what was then called a civic element. So he was never a PPP as such. He was part of the so-called civic element, an element that was ill-defined, but it was an element that was formed to satisfy, to temper the whole outlook of the PPP, the whole communist outlook of the PPP, and to make the PPP more acceptable to the Western powers, right? And give Jagan his last hurrah at the presidency. So he was part of that civic for many, many years, and he held about 4 different portfolios and so on, right? And again, probably fell out with the PPP, this time under Jagdio's presidency. Was lying low, writing his columns and so on. But then I saw him appear on the APNU platform. Even if only it signals the concern that has been growing in Guyana of the inequality in the distribution of the wealth of this country. We must be able to call a spade and not a shovel, which is what so many people want us to call. We want to call a spade a shovel when right before our eyes, we see what is happening in this country. You look at it. Look at all the ribbons that have been cut during these elections over the last year and make up your analysis and your minds. Where the wealth of this country is going. This morning, I was looking at a photograph at the cutting of the ribbon for the Marriott Courtyard at Timeri Airport. And it was no different than all the photographs I looked at with the cutting of the ribbons recently. It was no different. Even when you're cutting public projects like the Bus B, the continuation to Bus B Dam, you see the same set of pictures, the same outlook, and you wonder for the future of this country. You wonder for the future of this country. And we've seen it before our eyes, and we don't want to say up front, listen, where this thing is heading, it is not right. We don't want to say that. We got double O naught and triple naught and all them who gone over, but none of them said to us, we are going there to make a difference. None. None. And the reason being, because it had all been transactional crossovers. Not even ideological, just transactional. I can't continue to be left out as an individual out of the gravy train. So let me go and join it. Let me go and join it. And I will do whatever they tell me to do because I in need of gravy. The same things that you didn't want to do while you were with your original party, you didn't want to do. But yes, but enough of them. I am happy that while some are leaving, some are returning, both in spirit or either in spirit or in body. So I don't know whether that was a one-off for Jeffrey, but either way, whether it's one-off or so, it was welcome that he was able to do it and in a short time explain the whole issue with race and racism, why nothing is wrong with voting race. It is racism that is the evil and not voting race. And he gave the apt example of all the black people who voted for Obama and so on. And also he pointed to the apartheid development of this country. People don't like to say these things. You know, oh no, not apartheid. You know what is apartheid? Apartheid is this and so on. They don't understand system. System. What the system will do. And it will come in its different manifestations from epoch to epoch. But the system remains. You don't have to be in chains, physical chains, and neckties and so on to say that you are in slavery. The system of slavery and what it does to you is what will remain or go at a higher level as you move from era to era. It's only a mind that doesn't think or doesn't analyze will say, well, how can you compare slavery, the system today with slavery? After all, our ancestors were in chains and they were whipped on their backs and so on. Those are manifestations, girl. They're not slavery. That's not the system. The system that many of us endure today is akin to slavery or apartheid. And we must work hard to change that. But until you could accept this is what is happening, you will tell yourself you have no need to work to change it. And I was also happy to see clips of known other known persons supporting the APNU. I saw one with Dr. Karen Cummins. Thought she had gone on a rest or gone into hibernation because I haven't heard or seen about her for a long while. But I saw a clip recently with her talking about the APNU and so on. You know, as I said, it always bothered me. And I have called them out. They were my colleagues, and I called them out because that's how I see it. That's how I see it. That you can't have been there for 5 years administering portfolios, and when you're out and they are attacking you, attacking the government for which you serve a part, you are hiding, or you fail to come out and to correct the falsehoods that are being said of the very portfolio that you was in charge of. And that really, 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 it sets me apart. Sets me apart. Dr. Cummins was in charge of 2 portfolios: Foreign Affairs for a short while, and at Ministry of Health. And you must have left an exit book or some sort of thing. You telling me that you can't be more visible in terms of explaining all the stuff that you did while you were at that. You're allowing these people to troll the government, you know, about Bond and Bond and Bond, about Bond, you know, not about George Norton and the Bond and so on. You're making that be the be-all and end-all of the health sector, when so many great things that happen in the health sector, when so many indicators of health were improved under the coalition. But they were happy that I saw a clip with her there, right? And one will recall, while serving in the foreign ministry, I think it was foreign affairs, while serving as Minister of Foreign Affairs, the incident that took place in the vicinity of the Pegasus Hotel force and at the Pegasus Hotel had nothing to do with the Pegasus itself, but had to do with a meeting in which His Excellency President Granger had been invited to address, and that was the GMSA meeting that was held at the Pegasus at the time. And I note that Jagdeo talked about recently, I'll come back to it, about if he was able to deal with the Granger cabals. Now, there was a mob, an unruly mob, that assembled in the vicinity of the Court of Appeal, around that area there. And as ministers tried to get to the Pegasus to be seated in time to listen to His Excellency President Granger's address, they were stopped. I remembered Patterson, David Patterson, as Minister of Public Infrastructure, and Dr. Karen Cummins as Minister of Foreign Affairs, trying to run what was a gauntlet. They banged this unruly mob that included members of the present administration, banged on the cars. It was frightening, banged on the cars and attempted to upturn the car of Dr. Cummins. all in the view of an assembly of policemen who I presume were either told to stand down or to apply minimum force. Because as you guys will remember, nothing untoward happened. There was no bloodshed that was shed. There was no baton wielding people, lashing people in the head, and so on. There was no gunshots, as I remembered. But the policemen attempted to execute their duties in a manner that would have caused minimum injury and so on. As to whether that was the correct approach, that can now lead Jagyo to say he was able to deal with Granger and his cabal. Did he mean that he could have gotten away easily with the kind of behavior that took place on that fateful day? And again, in the GMSA meeting, another confrontation. And that continued literally throughout, because that was coming towards the end of the Granger administration. But during the administration itself, you had all of that. You had a raucous in the National Assembly when President Granger came there to address the Assembly on the opening of the Assembly of the Parliament for the new term. You had a raucous pickets, which aren't allowed in the National Assembly. They all had pickets there. They're all banging noise and so on. That kind of unruly, uncouth behavior that characterized the opposition. Is that what he meant, that he was able to deal with Granger and his cabals? Maybe. But Dr. Karen Cummins survived. And I think she was able to attend the GMSA meeting, which didn't go down very well, but President Granger remained stoic and did his address above the din of the noise that was taking place at the time. But you know, these stories have to be told. And unfortunately, they aren't being told enough during this campaign. I say unfortunately, if only because people must understand. They must understand. Because you got too many of the youngsters who are asking, what did you do for me and what did you do for me and so on. And perhaps the patience seems not to be there to sit them down and explain, you know, what is going on. But whether they like it or not, we must be able, in as much as we're telling them what we are going to do for them going forward, we must be able to tell them from where they came. From where they came. You know, this is the approach that I like to use. And maybe that is why a lot of people say, well, you know, you should have been a teacher because, you know, you break down these things simply and, you know, and we understand when you talk and so on. You know, now that the soldiers have voted, and perhaps I'll come back to that too. Now that they've voted, I want to repeat something. You see, when we came in, soldiers were given a month salary as bonus at the end of the year. And this thing had created a lot of angst among various classes of public sector workers. When the government gave the soldiers the 1 month bonus, it wasn't because they liked the soldiers. I was there and I could tell you what happened. Monies were put there for salary increases well above the 5% that they kept paying, well above. I was there. I'm the one who sat with the IMF building those programs. Monies were put well above. Monies were also put to recruit nurses who are in training, teachers who are in training, and monies were put for any addition to the labor force in the public sector during the year, because we don't budget for vacancies. A sum of money is held at the Ministry of Finance in case a vacancy is filled. That's how it goes. So you have this large pool of money. You have this large pool of money. And instead of paying increased salaries so that you could rapidly move to a salary that is representative of the position that you are in over time, they kept paying these 5%, and the monies that were left back, they could do whatever they want. So out of that money, they began to pay 1 month bonus to the discipline services. Not because they like them, but because they recognized they needed the discipline services, which was predominantly people of African descent, to be in line when they call upon them. It was also a continuation post-Jagan of dividing the working class. Because a divided working class is easy to control. It is easy to control. Think about it. A man who's a soldier has a wife working in the public service. At the end of the year, the man gets a 1 month bonus, a 1 month salary bonus. His wife gets nothing. How you think that household? How you think that household? Friction. So even though extra month's salary has come into the household, friction is there, because the wife begins to examine her self-worth. Let us suppose the wife is a nurse who every day has to look at blood and vomit and wounds and death and all these things for a pittance, and she's not recognized at the end of the year with a month's salary. So this is the problem. They didn't love the discipline services. They gave the discipline service as a means of dividing the working class. And discipline service, let us be blunt too. Let us be blunt. A soldier, when we came in, the minimum wage was $39,000 plus. A soldier might have earned, let us say, 40,000. Let us say even 45,000 above the minimum wage. I doubt whether. But let us give them 40,000. At the end of the year, when you get a minimum a month salary, you get $40,000. $40,000. Well, you might have been at the border, the Venezuelan border, facing them guys who did them syndicatos shooting across the river and so on. Many days you can't see proper food. Many days you can't sleep because you're worrying about your family back in town. But you get $40,000. Your superior officer, whose salary might have been $500,000, gets $500,000. As the 1 month salary. So you got all of these issues that were faced. But when we came in, the government said, listen, if we have something to share, we would like all our people to get a piece of it. So contrary to what people say, how we take away 1 month bonus, ask the soldier how you would have got 77% salary increase on which this government had to build on. They couldn't take it away from you. Is we give you that 77% increase. Why? Because salary is property. Salary is property. And that salary goes towards many things. 1, NIS. 2, your pension and gratuity. When they give you a month's bonus salary at the end of the year. It's one-off. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. But let us say, if they got a month's salary to give you, let us say 40,000. Why can't they divide that 40,000 by 12 and put it into your salary? You ever asked that? Have you ever asked that? Why didn't they divide that 4,000 into 12 and put the money monthly in your salary so that the salary could increase? Add up all the bonus that you have got over the period that they were there and ask yourself, if they had added that into your salary, what your salary would have been when you're ready to retire. But we did it for you. In our first year, when we had a little money left back, we shared it to everybody. You got 50,000. You, the soldier, got 50,000, and your army chief got 50,000. In fact, the army chief got none because we cut it off at a certain level. A certain high judicial official called me to find out why they weren't getting, why they above a certain amount weren't getting. Imagine a little $50,000 bonus. People who get in $1 million asking you why they're not getting that 50,000. And I said to the individual, it's a $50,000, buddy. You get in $1 million. Eh? Let these people enjoy the little 50,000, no? So when your salary was $50,000, we gave you 50,000. When the other person, your top officer, salary was 500,000, we gave them 50,000. You see equity? You see equity? That is equity. Always we thought about the person at the bottom and the life that they have to live and the income that they need to get that life. And the next year, when less money was available, we still paid a little 25,000. But as Guy Suko and all the others began to eat in, we had to find more and more money. We didn't have any more money to pay a bonus. But we kept increasing your salaries well above the 5% that you were accustomed to. But you know what?
Hello, hi, good morning. Welcome to another program of Guyanese Morning Time. It is 7 hours 37 on the 29th day of August in the year 2025. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. I will beg your indulgence. The electricity is back. We had 2 back-to-back blackouts or power outages. It's back. And so I want to be able to switch over to the GP hell from the generator. And so I beg your indulgence. It should be a quick switch. Bear with us, stay on the line, do not go any place, stay put for a minute or 2 or 3 or 4. Right? Do that. Be of good cheer.
AP and you, rise Guyana shine. Together we build, now is the time. With Aubrey strong and heart so true. We're rising up, it's me and you.
Are you a small contractor? Tired of paying bribes? Vote APNU. Vote for a guaranteed 20% of government contractors. Vote for the PAM. Vote for training and financing. Vote for empowerment. Vote APNU. Putting people first. Joy to the world. I can breathe some oxygen. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Ay, morning again. Yeah, so thank you for staying put. Good morning again. Please share the live. Share the live. Share the live. I know some people had blackout and so on and so forth. For outage and so on and so forth. But share the live. Let's get the numbers up. Today is an important day. It's Free Talk Friday. We're gonna talk some things. We're gonna make some plans. You know, and we're gonna send some message. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, just what saying. I say what I mean. Trying to get some audio.
Contractors, vote for the PAM, vote for training and financing, vote for empowerment, vote APNU. Voting people first.
Guyana side. Together we build. Who is that time? With all being strong and hearts true. We're rising up. It's me and you.
Are you a small contractor? Tired of paying bribes? Vote APNU. Vote for a guaranteed 20% of government contractors. Vote for the PAM. Vote for training and financing. Vote for empowerment. Vote APNU. Voting people first.
Guyana side. Together we build. Who is that time? With all being strong and hearts.
Hi again. Morning. What's happening? How y'all doing? You know, this thing could sap your energy. Sometimes I don't feel like I get the energy, you know. But you know, it's when you're coming down to the wire. It's then they just test your metal. I don't know why they would be mad at the opposition GCOM commissioners. Y'all tell me, y'all educate me. Let me see how much you understand the system that we're dealing with in this country. Why will you be mad at or why will they be mad at the opposition? I'll talk to me. I want to know. Why, you know, I know, I already know. I'm tempted to say a lot of things this morning, but I'm studying, you know, I'm studying what going to be the repercussions. I'm wondering why we haven't gone back to the old age of messaging. As a social studies teacher, when we do communication, there's a module in communication there's a module in social studies when you're preparing for CXC. It's called communication. And of course, there are many methods of communicating. We know most of us pay attention to and only perhaps remember the modern methods of communicating. But regardless of what method of communicating you use, you must have a sender, someone who is sending a message. You must have a message. So you have a sender of that message. You must have a medium of sending that message and the receiver, right? So you could say the tripartite thing. It's a tripartite thing. So you have the sender who sends a message through a medium. Or if you're using more than one medium, then it becomes media. Right? So you have the sender and the medium or media, and you have the receiver. Now, they say communication only takes place if the receiver interprets the message the way it is intended to be interpreted. If the receiver of the message doesn't interpret it the way it is intended to be interpreted, then there is miscommunication. Are you understanding that? So nowadays we use telephone, or we use the airwaves. The airwaves are usually used as a medium. And so we talk about telephones, and now we move from fixed line or landline telephones, as people like to say, to mobile phones. And then there are also satellite phones. And of course, we had the post. We still have the post. I see the Guyana Post Office Corporation is, what should I say? Stopped sending packages to the US because of the tariffs and so on. Good. We have the newspaper. It's a medium of communication, television, radio, and so on. But back in time, the ancient way of communication, I know our ancestors used drums. We still talk about the talking drums. And this is why I said the band drums from the plantation, because when our foreparents, when our ancestors struck those drums in certain rhythmic patterns, let me call it that, then they sent certain messages. And they were interpreted by people along the way, and they acted accordingly. Right? And then as time went by, maybe this particular method was pre-sound, because drums obviously is an audio message, is a sound message. You had smoke messages. They used to light things afire. And the smoke in the air used to send the message. I don't know how they were interpreted for the most part, but smoke in the air sends the message. I don't know if it's the color of the smoke that used to get the message to the other end, or if it's the size of the fire that used to get a message to the other end. But smoke and fire definitely sent messages. Our ancestors definitely used smoke and fire to send messages. And obviously, communication was taking place because people were interpreting that smoke signal, and they were acting accordingly. So sometimes those of us who as students of social studies and even teachers of social studies, we have to go back and examine these modules and see what we can learn from them. Some of us are stuck too much in modernity. And so we don't use the right methods of communicating sometimes, because some people just, I know they head hard, I know, but they find difficulty in understanding or even interpreting or even getting the right interpretation of the messages which are sent to them. And I always prided myself as being a great teacher, because when I start, I like to tell people I like to teach brass tacks and suites. Because if I jump up there and I understand you can understand the message that I'm trying to send to you and I'm up there, I come right down to low grade. And I look for the very simple things. There are simple things which can meet simple minds. Right? Sabrina is saying she never heard that. What you never heard, Sabrina? Be clear so I can help you to understand. Because this is classroom time this morning. I'm teaching y'all. Like I'm always teaching. So if we are in a society and we are speaking and we are saying things, and what we are saying and in what we're acting, the message is going over the heads of people, then naturally, I would say we need to go back to the drawing boards and look for means and methods of communicating with these people so that they get the message. So they get the message. And so if you're saying to the Guyanese people, to the authorities, to the Guyana Elections Commission, to the international observers, that things are irregular in this country when it comes to the preparation for these elections. People describing them as most critical, mother of all elections, most important elections, and all kinds of things. But all that we are saying in terms of all the ills that we are seeing when it comes to the preparation for these elections, it seems as though the messages are getting over people's head. People don't understand the modern methods of communication. Why then don't we go back to the ancient methods of communicating so that people can get the message clear? Because the old people were getting the messages. The old people were getting the messages. Sabrina is saying she never heard about smoke sending a message. Well, yes, Sabrina, you will thank me for the social studies lesson this morning. And all those of you who weren't aware that smoke was used as a medium, right? Another thing which was moved, another thing which was used is light. Have you ever heard about the Morse code? Morse code, light and sound. Because if you beep your horn in a certain way, it sends a certain message. If you're in the dark and you use a flashlight and you turn it on and off in a certain sequence, it sends a certain message. Usually it is SOS, save our soul, which indicates that there is danger. Right? Save our soul, SOS. You can use light to send that signal. You can use sound to send that signal. Smoke definitely will send a signal that something is wrong. Yes, pigeons were also used as messengers, as carriers of message. Good. But our student here is saying she has never heard of smoke being used. Well, let me tell you a message that people get when they see smoke. Old people say where there's smoke, there's fire. Right? See, yes, the Vatican even currently uses smoke, because dependent on the color of the smoke that you see arising from the Vatican, you know whether or not the Pope has been elected. Right? Good. When you see smoke and fire, or in most instances when you see smoke, dependent on the color of the smoke, there's some people who can tell you if a building is lit or if people are simply burning garbage. Dependent on the color of the smoke and the color of the flame, people can tell you if a mattress is lit or if a gas bottle has exploded. People can actually, people can look at the color of the flames and they can look at the color of the smoke and they can tell you how serious the situation is. Is it a dangerous fire? Is it a small fire? Is it a fire that will lead to major destruction? Is it a fire that is accidental? People can actually tell you that. So yes, smoke. I mean, you have to have fire to get smoke, because they say where there is smoke, there is fire. And you can't create smoke without fire. So if you want to send a message using smoke, you have to create fire. And so I'm saying to Guyanese, I'm saying to all of us, if the modern ways of communicating ain't working, maybe we have to return to our social studies modules, or return to the knowledge of the ancestors and see what methods they use to get their message across loudly and clearly. That was your moment in social studies. Old people say hint to Beniba make Kwashiba Tech. Notice, vote for peace and tranquility. Vote for APNU. But the one thing I know, you can vote all you want for who you want. But if you're not prepared to defend that vote, you ain't gonna get what you want. Keep that one in mind. Okay, folks? Continue to share the live. I don't like the numbers I'm seeing. I know we had power outage and so on. We gotta do better though. Share the live. You know, on a program that thousands of people are looking at sometimes, when you go and you see 40 shares, I think yesterday there were 4 shares. Y'all in shame? Come on, do something. Share the live, man. Share the live, please and thank you. Yes, I see Flash Gordon saying that the smell also tells the message. Dependent on the fumes that are coming out of the fire, you can tell whether they are, we call them, chemicals inside. What kind of chemicals? Biohazard. Yes, hazardous chemicals. You can tell if hazardous chemicals are there. And then after the fire dies down, is extinguished and so on, the specialists, they got a name, is it pyrotechnics? Can't remember. But them fire people are trained in fire and so on, got a special name. I think they're pyrotechnics. They can go to the fire scene and they can look at it, they can make a study of it. And they can tell you whether the fire was deliberate or not, where it started. Right? Yes, they can tell you where it started. They can tell you how many legs it had, and where it's how it progressed. Then how it progressed. And so that is why the most cases when you are finished with, when you have a disastrous fire, so the fire specialists, the fire police, as we like to say, they will go and they will examine the scene, and then they will tell you this fire was arson, or this fire was electrical in nature, and they will tell you where the fire originated. Because wherever the fire originated usually suffers the worst damage. And you see what we call it tracks as to where the fire walked. We say fire walks. So you see where the fire walked to engulf the entire place, or whatever sections are engulfed and so on. Right? Just a little bit about communication and how smoke can be used to send messages, or how smoke was used to send messages in the past, and the ancient ways of communicating in case the modern ways are not working. Now to today's discourse. I see GCOM is seeking to move 14 polling places from public buildings to private homes. And I'm going to read from Kaichor, because I didn't get all the details. Kaichor should get more than me. With just 3 days left before September 1 general and regional elections, the PPP nominated commissioners on Thursday requested that 14 polling stations be moved from public buildings to private residences. The request was made during a statutory meeting of the Guyana Elections Commission, but was met with immediate rejection by opposition nominated commissioners, who abruptly walked out, resulting in the meeting losing its quorum. Opposition nominated Commissioner Vincent Alexander, speaking with Kaichor News, explained the walkout, stating, quote, the government nominated commissioners, with the facilitation of the chairperson, sought to discuss the PPP's request for the change of the location of 66 polling stations from public buildings to other buildings, mainly private, he added. This was occurring at a time when GCOM had already publicly advertised the location of the polling stations, and weeks after the deadline for objection to the location of polling stations had elapsed. The opposition appointed commissioners refused to participate in that travesty. Hence, they withdrew from the meeting, which then lost its quorum. On the other hand, speaking with government-nominated Commissioner Manoj Narayan, I guess, confirmed that the PPP had requested to change 12 to 14 polling locations from public buildings to private residences. Quote, the original list was around 66 polling stations. It was reduced to some 12 to 14 polling stations. So the issue today was 12 to 14 polling stations that the PPP made a request for changes to be made, he said. Narayan cited legal provisions to justify the proposal, stating, quote, their reason for that is stated by law. Section 66 of the Representation of the People's Act, together with Section 34 and especially 35, make it clear that polling places are to be fixed within the village in which electors are to vote. The polling places must also be within a reasonable distance of where the electors live. That is the law. It is mandatory. GCOM has an obligation to ensure that that is done. He noted that the request was based on concerns that several polling places, particularly on the East Coast, were located too far from the electors. He explained that in many cases, voters were required to travel to a different village in order to cast their ballots. Most, if not all, related to polling places where electors are required to go to a different village to vote, especially on the East Coast. You have electors from Enterprise who have to go to Melanie and other similar circumstances. That was what we were trying to rectify today. Narayan also said that the claims about long distances were supported by field work conducted by GCOM staff. This was corroborated by the logistics manager of GCOM, who went into the field to assess the distance of the polling places that the PPP requested to change. Addressing public concerns over the use of private residences, especially in light of past recommendations from Carter Center and the European Union to reduce their use, Narayan argued that their use is legally permissible when no suitable public buildings are available. The law on this is clear. If there isn't any public building within the village that can be used for polling, the law authorizes the use of private residences. There's nothing wrong with private residences. They have the same checks and balances, the same police presence, the same GCOM personnel and party agents. There's nothing that could happen there that could lead anyone to have any fear, he stated. When asked why the PPP only raised the issues days before the election, Narayan clarified, it was not only now the request was made. The original request on August 13 was for 66 polling stations. By subsequent days, it was reduced to the same 12 to 14, and on August 15. But we were unable to fully discuss it because of the stance taken by opposition-nominated commissioners. Narayan stated that the commission's next step is to hold another meeting within 48 hours of the walkout. If a quorum is not achieved at that meeting, GCOM is authorized to proceed with a decision on the matter without the approval of the opposition-nominated commissioners. Whenever we lose a quorum, the law authorizes us to hold the next meeting within 48 hours. And if there is no quorum at that meeting, GCOM can go ahead and make a decision that was on the agenda from the last meeting without the other commissioners, he explained. He noted that the next meeting may be held on Saturday. GCOM, during its first press conference for the 2025 elections, confirmed that 62 private residences will be used as polling places. GCOM's public relations officer, Yolanda Ward, disclosed out of a total of 2,709 polling stations, we have 1,151 polling places, and of that, there are 62 private residences polling places. The use of private homes for polling has long been controversial. The number of private residences used has been significantly reduced over the years, from 166 in 2015 to 92 in 2020. After recommendations from the Carter Center and the European Union criticized the practice. During the 2020 elections, the then opposition PPP had raised concerns that private residences could disenfranchise voters. GCOM Chair Justice Claudette Singh later confirmed that the reduction in private residences was in response to these concerns. It's not that the polling stations are being removed from the area. It's just the private residences. They are moving away from those. Singh had said, why would you use private residences when you have a public place? At the time, GCOM's then Chief Election Officer, Keith Lowenfield, justified the use of private residences in limited cases. There's absolutely no public or other building that could have been used in these instances, and therefore, we had no choice. The residents of those particular subdivisions have to vote, he had stated. Former President David Granger had also weighed in during the 2020 elections, warning of past abuses when polling was held in obscure residences owned by political affiliates. Though he acknowledged the wisdom of reducing private polling places, Granger emphasized that it ultimately remained a decision of the commission. Right? There you have it. You heard it for yourself. Now, the whole story is public places were identified for these polling stations to be at. Why suddenly, in the last hour, the 11th minute, the 11th hour, I like to see, there's a need to remove them. Why? Why in the 11th hour GCOM is agreeing to remove these polling stations? And I asked you just now, I asked the question just now. Why would they be angry with the opposition commissioners for walking out because I wanted to have an understanding of what you people know. I wanted to have an understanding of what you people know about GCOM and the rules. Because, quite frankly, walking out from the meeting will not prevent GCOM from making the decision on the polling stations or the change of polling stations. Since 2020, a lot of persons were suggesting that the commissioners could have prevented GCOM declaring the PPP winners and GCOM making some decisions and so on and so forth by walking out and therefore robbing GCOM of a forum. It's not true. If you listen to what I read in the Kaicho News there, you're going to understand that once a meeting is started and you walk out, there is no quorum, that meeting is deemed adjourned. It is adjourned to another date within 48 hours. And when that adjournment takes place within 48 hours, when that meeting is then called to order again, whether you turn up or not, the business of GCOM will go on. Right? The business of GCOM will go ahead. And so when they call this meeting, according to Narayan, on Saturday, whether the opposition commissioners are there or not, GCOM will make that decision. You busy? Come do this thing for me. GCOM will make that decision. And so, if you ask me, looking at how Claudette Singh has been behaving with the other commissioners nominated by the PPP, it's a done deal. Those polling places are going to be moved from public places to private residences. Now, let me say this to you. The argument that people should not be made to move from their village to another village to vote is balderdash. It's a whole bund of crap. Because, like I said in one of my many explanations of this gerrymandering that GCOM is doing and so on and so forth, my family and I, we used to vote in Buxton, 2 lots from where we live, at the Community Life Fellowship Church. And they removed us, all those people who used to vote there. And they now send us to Friendship Village to vote. That is not in our village, you know. Let me make it clear. Friendship Village is not Buxton Village. Friendship is not Buxton. Friendship is Friendship and Buxton is Buxton. But for good neighborly relations, we usually say that we twin the two. Yeah. So if you're saying that people should only vote in their communities, then let us talk about those Buxtonians who are made to go over to Friendship and vote. And so we're going to get a whole brouhaha, a whole mix-up, you know, about where people should vote and where public places exist. Because I have been removed from Buxton, many of us have been removed from Buxton, and we are made to vote at Friendship Village. The people in Buxton North, sideline area where I am, they used to vote at the Buxton Primary School, which is in Middlewalk Road, Church of God Road. They are now made to vote at Company Road Primary. In fact, some vote at Company Road Primary and some vote at Buxton Secondary. Both of those schools are in Friendship Village. Both of those schools are in Friendship Village. And so every time you look at GCOM and its decision making, you come to recognize that there is no impartiality in the decisions that made at GCOM, decisions that are being made at GCOM by the Commission. And for the greater part, all of these decisions are in favor of the PPP. The PPP gets what the PPP wants. And the opposition parties are disadvantaged and disregarded. And so they're not communicating. Communication is not taking place because GCOM is not understanding what the opposition parties are calling for and what the opposition parties are asking for and what the opposition parties are saying. And so should there be a new method of communicating with GCOM? Should there be a new method of communicating with GCOM? I know you can't use what you don't have, you know. You cannot use what you don't have. If you use it what you don't have, you're living above your means. If a lot of people want to disenfranchise us, maybe a lot of people need to be dispossessed of even the authority that they think they have to disenfranchise us. Ballot boxes are being transported to the interior region, but they can be accompanied by scrutineers because the payload of the aircraft doesn't allow that. Bullshit. A whole ton of bullshit. What says that the ballot boxes can only be transported in one aircraft? What says that? If scrutineers are required to accompany the ballot boxes, then their weight has to be taken into consideration when loading the aircraft. And so if one aircraft can carry 100 ballot boxes and 5 scrutineers, then it carries 100 ballot boxes and 5 scrutineers. The remaining ballot boxes and scrutineers will go with another aircraft. And if it takes 50 aircrafts to get the scrutineers and the ballot boxes to the polling place at the same time to ensure scrutiny, then that is what GCOM is obligated to do. And if GCOM is obligated to take steps to give credibility to the election, and they're not doing that, then Guyanese have to take steps to ensure that their cause for free, fair, and credible elections are heard and respected. Like somebody was saying to me the other day, I don't know how true that is because I didn't get the time to do the research on it. The ruling is that when ballot boxes are being transported from the place of poll, it is only the driver and the presiding officer that should be in the vehicle. Something to that extent. Somebody could disabuse me of this ignorance. No, you are telling me that a ballot box is transported only by the driver and the presiding officer in the vehicle, escorted by police. What can transpire in that vehicle with the driver and the presiding officer or whatever the officer's authority as they transport that ballot box? Nobody is there to watch over anything. Y'all talk to me. Yeah. All right. I think my son should have been looking out for you. Good. Carly, you get your number? Carly. Hey, Carly for me. Right? So if you're saying I, who have been entrusted with the responsibility of watching over, to ensure nothing questionable happens, must travel in a separate vehicle to where the item that I have to look over is traveling. It sounds like madness. It sounds like madness. If people want madness, I think they should be given madness. If people want madness, then they should be given madness. Are we going to sit back and just keep complaining about what is wrong and what doesn't have the good right appearance, and we hope international observers are noticing these things, and then the election comes? Khaled Singh declares the election and then says, you have to go to a petition. Forewarned is forearmed. Should we be sitting and waiting for Monday before we make it known and make it pellucidly clear? Yes, pellucidly clear that these shenanigans are unacceptable. I said several weeks ago, even if it is 30 minutes, I think Guyanese in all of their numbers and sizes and shapes and colors should stand in front of GCOM and give them a hint of what they're asking for. But I'm going to repeat it. I'm just a minion. I'm not the opposition leader. I'm not the leader. I'm not the presidential candidate. I'm not anyone of consequence, if you ask me. I'm from Buxton back down side. That is what I'm sure about. What I'm also sure about is that the writing is on the wall that this ain't going to end well. I'm absolutely sure about that. And if citizens want to sit back and political leaders want to sit back and throw their hand up and say, what are we going to do? God is in charge. Y'all could continue down that sorrow path. I'm reading this morning of Apex Education on the East Coast around Atlantic Gardens area being a polling place. I can't tell you about the relationship, but I'm sure the owner is Shazad Ali. Shazad Ali and Irfan Ali, I'm sure they're Alis. You know what else I'm sure about? I'm sure the principal of Apex Education is Nicholas Prasad. I am sure it is alleged that Nicholas Prasad and Suresh Singh were masterminds behind the 2020 PPP still dated statement of polls that were issued to what a Christian lady name and others. It is alleged, and I can say to you, I wouldn't put it far from Nicholas. Because he is versed in mathematics. I can tell you that. He taught me mathematics at Annandale Secondary. He also teaches physics. And I also worked alongside him at Annandale Secondary. That time I was teaching geography. So I know the Nicholas Prasad. I know where he stands on ethnicity. And he is principal of Apex Education, I understand. And Apex Education is owned by Shazad Ali, and it is being used as a polling place. Y'all could come to whatever conclusions you are or want. But those are the facts. Narayan says he doesn't see any problem, or they don't see any problem with private residences being used as polling place. Will you give me permission to go and look under the bed, in the bathroom, in the closets, in every nook and cranny of those private residences to verify that there is nothing there that can contribute to the corruption of the votes that will be cast at those private residences? Do I have that authority? Is it decent even? Is it ethical? Is it moral? If it's in a public place, it is a public place, I can feel justified, unashamed, free in my mind to search every nook and cranny, even on the grounds of that public place, to ensure that there are there's the presence of nothing that will taint those elections. Will I be allowed to do that at a private residence? Can I open the pot to see if they got ID cards inside? So there's a stark difference. There is a stark difference. And so when they come and tell us nothing is wrong with using a private residence, the same systems are in place as if it's a public facility. They're playing us for fools. They think we're brain dead and we're intellectually lazy. I'm just one. I'm only one. And I have to bring myself ever so often to the place of recognizing and accepting that I am only one. But I wish that there would be other persons like myself who would decide that enough is enough and we have to say to these people in unambiguous terms, it can't work, being unaccepted. The citizens are the masses. I'm encouraging you to speak up. I am encouraging you, the citizens, to speak up. You see the transporting of ballot boxes to the interior, transporting to and from the interior by aircraft. I don't know who the company is that is contracted to do the transportation. But I know Jerry Gavaya, who is apparently an advisor to the government on security, is owner or part owner of an aircraft business. And I'm almost willing to bet that that contract for transporting ballot boxes in and out of the interior regions has gone to his company. And some people might tell me, you ain't involved in the day-to-day management of the company. I don't know. I'm just assuming they're going to tell me though. The question is, does he have influence? Does he have influence? Who gets to check the aircraft inside, outside, upside, downside before the ballot boxes are packed into it? Before they are offloaded and delivered, and vice versa, if scrutineers are not allowed to accompany the ballot boxes? Y'all tell me. Huh? Y'all tell me. Y'all tell me, man. And while you're telling me or thinking about explaining to me, I want you to also think about how this bullshit could stop. What role can you play in stopping this bullshit? How may I help you? Good morning. It's not calling time yet. I will open up the lines. You're not paying attention to the program, otherwise you would have known that. I want to know. You know what else I want y'all to answer me? And I want the people from WIN, I want the people from Forward Guyanese Movement, I want the people from Assembly of Liberty and Prosperity or wherever, I want the people from AFC answer me. Looking at the two recent polls that were published, not that I give them credibility, right? Two recent polls, one in Calchonius showing that the PPP got 29 seats, the coalition got 22 seats, Azudin Wins Party got 13 seats. I want y'all to tell me how y'all intend to remove the PPP from government, assuming that poll is accurate. Because one thing I noticed, if you took the 13 seats that go to Azudin according to the poll, and you put it with the 22 that go to the coalition, you're going to get 35 seats. 35 is more than 29. And so I'm going to repeat what we've been saying all the time. You want to remove the PPP from office, then a coalition of all opposition parties is necessary. Absolutely necessary. So y'all explain to me, all those of you who run behind WIN and run behind FGM and all kinds of other acronyms and names, tell me how y'all intend, if y'all are serious about removing the PPP from government. It ain't too late for me. Every supporter of these small parties must recognize that by voting for the small parties, they're voting for keeping the PPP in government. Even from these polls, know what I'm saying? These polls, I don't give them no credibility, but even looking at these polls, it is as clear as day that any vote for any small party is a vote to keep the PPP in office. There's another poll which I want to reference. They got one showing the PPP got 26 seats and the coalition got 25 seats. The 2 to LC and 2 to FGM, I think, tend to win. Again, 25 plus 2 is 27. It is more than 26. 25 plus 2 plus 2 is 29. It is more than 26. 25 plus 2 plus 2 plus 10. Is 39. It is more than 26. Y'all give me a formula. I want y'all give me a formula that you intend to use to put the PPP out of government by holding out that you want people to vote for you. I don't expect to reach the intellect of the so-called political leaders with these newfound and small parties. But I'm hoping that the citizens who want better for themselves, the citizens who want to see the backs of the PPP, will recognize that their vote is better used voting for the APNU. I hope citizens will recognize that. Any vote for these small parties is a vote to keep the PPP in office. And if you're saying you want change, you can't be voting for small parties knowing that the PPP will stay in office. I said it then and I'm saying it now. The only political movement that has the best chances of removing the PPP from office is the APNU. Y'all could wake up and smell the roses. It's not too late to put your vote at the palm for the APNU. That is what will bring you change. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call.
Milk and honey gone, but we still drink drinks. Them build big house while school roof.
Corleon, good morning.
A blessed good morning to you, Mr. Kadaki, to your viewing and listening audience. Based upon your topic this morning is one that has me in great concern, and I'm very, very angry at this time. But let me say first, this is a question I would like to ask, and I would like GCOM, the people in this country, and the people in the whole world to answer this question. If you are going to the bank to do a transaction of any sort, hence will tell you wherever you are living, you will have to make whatever necessary arrangements to go to that bank in respective of whichever area you're living in, whichever province you're living in, or village. Secondly, if you have a child that is going to school, which is a public building, wherever you are, whether it's a village, a province, or an area, you will have to make the arrangements to make sure that your child attends that school. So when GCOM is telling the nation that an area in this country would like to have the privilege to have adequate polling stations done at a private resident to facilitate those who are coming from a little distance where they are living, it is actually ignorance that GCOM is telling people. Now, my point, Mr. Kadaki, is that I only hope, and I'm just reiterating what the opposition leader had said in his speech. He said, if there's any signs of infractions in these elections, there will be serious consequences in this country here. And speaking of consequences, if there is, and I pray and I hope not, that if there's a uproar in this country here, the party and the government who is in charge has themselves to be blamed if something goes wrong in this country on election period. I am just letting people understand we need to have peace and we need to have order and live amongst each other in unison in this country here. But this, what the decision what GCOM is coming up with, is provoking people to anger, because the smallest child will understand, or the ordinary man will understand what GCOM, the decisions what GCOM will want to make is not adding up, is not making any sense. And for those people who are agreeing to keep ballot boxes at their private homes, you understand, to conduct election, I am saying to them, I pray that God take care of them. Because let me say this, I'm not threatening anybody or anything, I'm just warning. This here is not something nice, not even for me, to have conducted on my property or premises. This exercise should be done at public buildings, not private buildings, because God forbid if something goes wrong, your property or anyone's property can be in a vulnerable state. And it's not fair to anyone to to have their property or their lives in a problem because they okay or they consent to have that exercise done at their property. Because let me say something. Most people, a lot of people have their property are insured. They're insured. They have insurance for their property. And I would like to ask those individuals who are allowing this exercise to conduct in the property, does the insurance company within their policy would give them any money that if anything should happen to their property? I don't think insurance would cover that. I just want to educate some property owners who were willing to conduct elections, which supposed to be an exercise only for the public buildings. This here is very, very serious, and you have made mention of something. If the opposition, if the party, all the political parties is going to sit down and allow this to happen, it's going to be one of the greatest blunder from all stakeholders, all political parties, to allow such decision coming from GCOM. This is too long that we are living in the 24th century, Mr. Kadaki, and to allow a process of such to conduct in our country and allow GCOM to make such frivolous decisions that will hinder the lives of people or innocent people in this country here. And those presiding officers who are in agreement or being allowed to go there and take charge of their post and conduct this exercise, I only hope they know what they're doing. This here is serious, serious, serious business, and this is serious, serious consequences if something could go wrong. If anything goes wrong in this country here, the PPP have the government at the end of the day has themselves to be blamed, because you know why? For too long, people are sitting down and allowing this government to have their own way in every respective. I am a very concerned citizen, not for myself and my family only, but I am a concerned citizen for all families, all ethnicity, and all religion, wherever you might be affiliated to, politically or religiously. This is a serious, serious problem we are dealing with, and we cannot afford problems right now in this country, Mr. Kadaki. Let this election run in a law-abiding and fair way, and let people go on with their lives. Mr. Kadaki, thank you for having me. God bless you and your family. Continue to do the good work. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. I see somebody is commenting that the police are instructing flat fix shops to remove tires from their premises and so on. Yes, I know that for a fact. 2 weeks ago, the guy who operates the vulcanizing shop on the public road here reached out to me. He wanted to hire transportation to remove some tires from his place because the police told him, remove them or we're going to shut your shop down. Call you on. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, to you, Kadaki. You see what that person just said? It is so true. But coming back to that, yesterday they had a meeting and the members at GCOM walked out. They should have been walking out a long time. Now, along with the private polling places that they want to put in, they taking the transporting of the ballot boxes into the hinterland. I think that should have been done by the military. This election, no military is guarding or is seen moving with those ballot boxes, and that should not be happening. When it comes to GCOM, I was asking, like many of us, even you and all, we were all asking, how ready is GCOM for this election? And we all knew that GCOM was not ready. Now imagine, GCOM does not have enough ED staff, because a week before election, then you appoint your ED staff. That is the presiding officers, the assistant presiding officers, the APO, the poll clerks, the people who call the name, the ballot box clerk who looks after the ballot box, and an information officer in cases of alpha splits. And after those people with all the train them, the people decided when they were given certain tasks, they decided that they were not going to work. And lots of the ED staff, like the PO and the APO, many of them have decided not to work for the elections. Now the poll clerks, who used to just take the ID cards and call out the name of a voter or an elector, those poll clerks never had to write in the poll book. But GCOM made it allow where poll clerks got to write in the books, and poll clerks who know the job know that was the purpose of the presiding officer. So lots of ED staff have relinquished and are not going to work. So I don't know who is going to be manning these poll stations on ED, because if they resign, they will not turn up. Now, when it comes to people and their things, right now in the Amstel, remember we had the famous house slave Darren. He was being given sets of money and he converted it like the big boss to his own personal and private use. Well, they get a new one, Tita. Well, she now has summoned all the 40-day workers, $1,000 workers, the 10 days, because they have run across to win. Well, she sent out an edict that all of them who are $40,000 workers and have gone across to win must report to a point today where she could have a strong meeting with them. And what I learned from one of the villains who ran away from the fold, the PPP fold, said that they're planning to force them to go and vote for the PPP. They are so silly. They could go into the polling booths, minus their phones or anything what can take a picture, and mark the X who they want. This country, I don't see why the PPP, who know they have done their best to the common, to the public in Guyana, should be calling people at ungodly hours. One, my friend get called, must be about 8:30 the night to ask her to vote for the PPP. Well, they ain't get around to call me. They call the wrong body number for me. I'm waiting for them to call me. Why is the confident PPP with a landslide victory in sight is trying to demonize and whatever doctrinate people into voting for them? What is the PPP? What they trying to be? North Korea? Well, North Korea ain't gonna there because they ain't gonna get me and they ain't gonna get many more like me to vote for them. We don't want them to continue murdering our young people, killing out 19 girls to burn up, the Adriana Young, the Henry Boys, and the list goes on for Janetta Quinton, Bacchus, and them. We ain't want them no more. So we will not be voting for the PPP. Don't work with your phones. Don't work with nothing smart and mark your X by the palm. Apnu, apnu. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you for your call. All those people got the PPP corralling them and telling them they got to wear body cams and they're going to give them pen cameras and they're going to give them hidden cameras and all kind of things to show their loyalty. I just want to say to y'all something. Y'all are the new breed of slaves. If you are going to allow people to dictate how you vote and give your camera to prove to them how you vote, you are nothing about a common slave. Call you on.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki, and good morning to the viewers. You know, when we in Kid Sense, when the black brothers and sisters in Kid Sense, just one seat that the win party get in Guyana. We don't understand. We can see this. This was a trick. This is exactly what was planned by the PPP and Mohammed. And Guyanese they're not conscious. They're so gullible. A vote for any other party is a vote for the PPP. Matters not who it go to. People are asking to split the vote. Matters not because they want these votes to split for things to be run the same way. Not for a change. Never for a change. It was never any change. They want it to be the same. Mr. Gadaki, could you remember the history of Edward Siaga and Michael Manley? Could you remember the history of Edward
For
Siaga and
Guyana to
Michael Manley,
grow,
Mr.
the
Gadaki? Yes or
PPP
no?
must.
Okay. You know what's gonna happen in Guyana? Just one seat that guy gotta get. And they're gonna put black on black. You're gonna have the black scrapes with the Mohammeds, and you're gonna have the other scrapes, the hungry bellies for the PPP. They're gonna beat the Indians into submission. They can't open them out. They can use them same two people. All
You
the
can get meat
organized
anywhere,
crime
but
is
for the
going to be
best
between the
cuts
two of
of
them.
chicken, beef, pork,
All the
mutton,
murder for hire
and lots more,
is going to be between the two of them. Those people won't be getting contract work. Their job is to kill and murder. I cannot understand in the light of day why in the world that Guyanese think somebody who cheat them of taxes, the same tax money he taking and build house for them, and they're saying that is a good thing. Somebody who's allegedly been involved in the murder of black people, disappearance of black people, and they're putting him on a pedestal. And there is a guy who is leading an opposition whose name and slate is clean as a whistle. People have faith in a criminal. If not him directly, his father. People have faith in a government that the VP has been in a really corrupt state, who in the past was accused of killing over 1,400 black children, destroy the future. Could you believe that? Something is definitely wrong. Something is wrong. How can you be so gullible? Y'all brace yourself. And the opposition, I'm talking about Mr. Norton and the WPA. If you guys sit and allow this crap to go on, polling stations be moved and put in private residence, if y'all allow this, something wrong with y'all. Because there ain't no way the APNU in past governments, PNC in past governments, this crap could have been allowed. They would have been condemned by international community by far before the election start. And this crap is being allowed to happen. Y'all better have got in place of y'all own inauguration, because it ain't gonna go well. Brace yourself. Have a good day, Mr. Gadaki.
The lines remain open. You're tuned to the Guyanese Morning Time. I am your host, Kiraki Amsterdam. We got a voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, viewers. Guyana election is in trouble. They are in trouble. GCOM know that they're not ready for elections for 2025. And this polling place that I want to change, that is where they're going to do the rigging. And I think the APNU, WPA should not stand for it. Should not stand for it. GCOM have to get it right. The PPP realize they are cornered. They are cornered. And the intent was to steal this election like what they did the last time. But they realize that the people up in arms with them now. Mr. Norton, make it clear. They're not going to allow them to steal this election. Mr. Kadaki, I'll keep the pressure on. Y'all keep the pressure up. The PPP have to go. They must be voted out from office. They must be voted out. Guyanese, prepare yourself. Prepare yourself to vote them out. They have to go. That is my take for today.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Now, the opposition should not take no chance with private buildings. Private buildings is where all those ballot boxes may be stored already before the original ballot boxes are there to be switched. Private building, the opposition may not be allowed to go into the people's bedroom or private places or under the bed and look for ballot or ballot boxes to be switched. They should not take any chance with private buildings. I think that is one reason why allegedly they burned down the school in Kokwani. And rest of the show, they're going to look for a private building to do the voting. The PPP has been blocked at all the corners now, and they've been exposed. You're now seeing what they were doing before. And I'm pleading to the opposition to take no chances with them and avoid private places to go and vote. They where all their ID cards and all these nasty things would be done. Bye.
Hello. Yes, good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters in Guyana. This is Flash Garden. The time is now. The time is near, but something is bothering me this morning. But let me use this word. Let me use this word and said, it is not too late to do the right thing. When Flash Garden always mentioned for years that the only way we could stop the wicked government from doing what they're doing is to put fire and smoke up in the air in the night. Nobody believed me. You see what we do? We build a monster today that you can't destroy. I always said that we have to focus on GCOM, not Jagdio, GCOM. Because Jagdio could tell GCOM anything, but she have the key for victory for the country. And if we do not take the key from her, we will be in trouble. And we already in trouble. When they protest from Melmel, I objected that nonsense. I said, for the time are you going to protest from Melmel? She live in America. She can't do nothing for you. Protesting for the GCOM building and Singh building. Nobody don't want to believe Flash Garden. You see now? But it's not too late to do the right thing. Put fire smoke up in the air. I'm calling upon Abby Nathan and David Hines. Me get 5 cents just like you guys. Put a nip on that nonsense. Because there's no way. No country don't keep, as far as we read and see, don't keep no election at no private house. Let me remind black people, 2006, when Carbon was running, that's why I'm mad with Carbon up this day, on a new show, that a private building, that one young Cody boy get ballabags going upstairs to come downstairs. Next year, you know, them Cody win. Black people, I listen to Flash Garden. I have come out and say we're not going to go to nowhere and vote. If we have a call out the vote in the last moment, do it. Why are you waiting for a sinking boat? No, if you get trouble for right on the boat, but now's the time for stop the boat from sinking, man. Come on. I'm tired for people coming and just talking and talking. I used supposed to go today and flag GCOM, Sing House. Send a message to Jagdio. It's me the one supposed to talk and talk because I'm not living there. But you guys living there feeling the pressure. Are you fight? So you answer me call too late, but we can't talk more because we got to give other people for call because money's election. Thank you very much.
Good morning to you, Kodaki, and the listening public. I already mentioned just now, if I hear clearly, that GCOM has approved for a polling station to move from public building to private building. If I heard properly, and that is true, I want to believe the PPP had asked for that with a big intention behind it. And I want to also believe that these private buildings are located in predominant East Indian area. And so the move there that created by the PPP is that Afro-Guyanese who has to vote at that particular polling station would be afraid to go and vote there because of the ethnicity of the community. And so if GCOM did approve that, then it doesn't make sense to keep highlighting the issue or the problem or the situation. What you need to do is stop highlighting it, because everybody already know it, right? Or most, I would say, already know it, who's familiar with reading the news, etc. Stop highlighting the problem and prepare your people. So what you should have done, or I would say to my people, is that if those African Guyanese who has to go and vote at that particular polling station, where I believe they are predominant East Indian people, if they are feel intimidated by, they may have to, by, if a war should break out, they may want to go in the yard and collect weapons such as cutlass, etc. Then what you need to tell your people is that they group up and go, group up. Don't go individually. Get a group of people and go together. And by extension, excuse me, by extension, if they have to put weapon in a vehicle, whether it's cutlass or whatever form of weapon they have, I don't know. I'm not saying what particular weapon they should use. But if they feel that they will be attacked by cutlass, then put in your vehicle too and just go with it. And so whenever the war breaks out, you're prepared to defend yourself. We have to start preparing our people for any activity because Jagger is preparing his people, right, to do the wars for them to stay in government. And we have to tell our people over and over, prepare for the wars and prepare to fight against the wars. So that's just my contribution this morning. Thank you for listening and play my voice now.
Chinese people is not stupid. The Almighty God is in control of this election. The PPP and the WIM, all of them is all about sacrifice. And those innocent control of this election.
A blessed good morning to you once again, Mr. Kadaki. That last caller, that call there, this is what I'm afraid of. What he is saying there is typically what will likely to happen in the event of the process of an election. Now, what I am saying as an advice to GCOM and this government, before things happen in that way or before things go down that way, that is the reason why it is very important that this exercise, voting exercise, should be done at a public building so that you wouldn't have tendencies of people going into a predominant ethnic area and feel threatened or feel intimidated. A public building will have the relevant security to ensure that security is there for one and all. Secondly, when prior before the start of the election on the election day, E-Day, I would like GCOM to exercise and enforce, or all stakeholders to have this exercise done. The ballot boxes should be inspected to ensure all ballot boxes nationwide should be inspected before the first vote cast in each and every district, village, region, provinces, or whatever it is, before the election time starts. And lastly, I would just like to remind people. I warned about this in my first call. When David Granger, before David Granger became president in his time of presidency during the election, I want people to understand, and I'm speaking to the private property owners in particularly, When Granger was before Granger turned president, they had an election conducting in Sapphire. I don't know if people remember this. And Lord and behold, whatever took place in that private man's building, that building went up in flames. That poor man has lost his property. You hear what I'm telling you? And I am warning people who are agreeing to have used their building or their properties to conduct an election exercise. It is very, very serious. We are not in a position to have a, a civilian war in this country here. Guyana is supposed to be on the move, and we're supposed to rise and shine like shine as a people, as a nation. Try, I'm begging hardly, I'm begging to the authorities of GCOM, I'm begging this government, I'm begging all political stakeholders. This exercise should be conducted by public buildings, not private buildings. You understand? If you got to go to the market, wherever the market is, you just find yourself to the market. You got to go to the bank, you just find yourself to the bank. You got to go to the post office, whichever ministry, you just find yourself there. This is one exercise. Let it be done in a legal manner. Mr. Kadaki, thank you very much for having me. God bless.
Blood is crying out. And is enough is enough. The Almighty is fully in control, removing them dynamic evil works. They're going out of boundaries. And Paul Williams and everyone, we like your boldness. Keep talking to the ghetto youths and let them understand the coalition is all about, just like a parents putting things in place. So the coalition government putting things in place for the young people then.
Greetings. Much greetings to you, Mr. Daki, the entire APNI team, and Guyanese of our own. Mr. Daki, you can't say nothing more better. All the callers calling, giving good views, but you cannot say nothing better. A vote for win is a vote for PPP. But just because you calculate it is exactly true. Because let me tell you something, I was listening to Ben's Cup last night, and Mr. Harvey Paul tell you exactly how they do the thing. And if people listen to the master last night on Ben's Cup show, he tell you exactly people rig the election, what it is do. If a business 70% is put 100 polling papers, or whatsoever it is. At the end of the day, let's get going with money and distract the person who's supposed to be there to just for overlook the activities for the day, distract the money, distract them, do what they got to do. So that it is very, 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 very serious. I am so annoyed because instead of we coming together and formalize ourselves and react together to get rid of these evil force, we fighting ourselves, fight to one another. What is the reason? Indeed, with us is truth. The guy we are running behind, he was in the beast of the belly of the beast a couple hours ago. How could you trust him, not knowing that he will go back in the one side? I don't understand, Mr. Kadaki, the way Guyanese think. All these intellectuals, all these people, all these masters and degrees and this and degree in that, they ain't seen going on around them. And you telling me you want to benefit for the country? You want to benefit for the country, you look at that for yourself. Because if you want to benefit for your country, you would never ever divide yourself for one another. The minute you divide yourself for one another, you left the devil to walk and destroy you. See people them doing now? People them said they're changing the polling station to get a private resident. If we were together, I can't do it. But you know what? We separated. So if you were supposed to get 15 votes, you only get 7. The 8 can divide between the rest of them, and the one will get 7, you can get 18. Where's the truth? But Mr. Daki, I hope these guys understand where we going. You understand what I'm saying, sir? So have a blessed day, my brother. Respect it.
AP, when you don't win, that's what you do them trying kind of way. People ain't stupid, you know. But Chinese people, yeah, watch yourself. You see them, the same sheriff, all of them is together, killing all people smart. They sacrifice the soldiers, police, fire guy, the lady, your only son, the guy only Jackie. People ain't stupid. Them have no respect for the Almighty. If they want riches and want power, sacrifice them on. Then think GUYANESE for them, the resources for them, the Almighty put it for all of them. But I know the Almighty delivering Guyanese people from Pharaoh, evil works, that Pharaoh government that is dynamic. And there's a new government is in place, but it's just for go into physical cleanliness. So you can't install and watching you see the shape out there, best watch out yourself. And you Ekins and all y'all, even going back to y'all. Then people cheering, blood crying out. Y'all too evil, wicked. You know, much people want to come together, but I'm frightened and watching all Guyana government going on. Are you wicked, evil, dynamic self? Are you evil going back to y'all?
Morning, Brother Kidaki, morning, viewers, morning, Guyanese. First of all, I must say, thank God for social media to enlighten us of what's going on, show the length and breadth of this world, and especially in Guyana, and especially towards this election that this government already rigged. But I'm not going to get away with it this time. Any opportunity, GCOM. GCOM doing everything in their power to retain back that installed government back in power. And I hope that the observance, you observe them, that looking carefully at what is going on with GCOM and this installed government of the day. You understand me? Everything is not going good in the opposition favor, the opposition party's favor, so to speak, you know, man, because, and then the reason why I think that it's not going in the favor of the opposition, because opposition are divided. You see, if the opposition parties them they come together as one, you understand me? Things was going to be different. That is my opinion. You understand me? But by they are divided, that's why we are looking so. But thank God for the PNC, the APNU. They are strong and courageous. But this 2025 election, and I call on all Guyanese, all African people especially. Come on, bro. The writing is big on the wall. You vote for the opposition, the small parties, them, you're wasting your votes. You vote for the PPP, you're wasting your votes. You vote for win, you're wasting your votes, buddy. None of these people will never ever take us to the promised land. You understand me? These people are going to depress us more as African people in this country if we continue to vote for these people. Come on, Guyanese African people. Adriana case is one of the most biggest case in this country today. You understand me? And no other party gonna investigate this girl case, this young, intelligent, beautiful young lady case. Come on, Guyanese people. Let us wake up. The only party gonna investigate this matter is the APNU. We have everything that it takes to investigate this matter. And the reason why I say no other party would never investigate the girl matter, I'm talking about the PPP and WIN. Because if they investigate the girl matter, they're gonna be investigating themselves. You hear Mohammed talk big and broad when he win the election, he gonna You're gonna bring in the FBI to investigate Adriana Young case. Bullshit. Bullshit. There is only talks. Investigating Rihanna case with investigating E and the PPP. Come on, guys, these people, don't let me be fooled. Don't let me be fooled. If we want to see this country come back to stability, like how Mr. Granger bring back at this country, you understand, guys? These people, let us rally around the opposition. Let us rally around the APNU. The APNU is all the way to go. Mr. Compton, Aubrey Norton, look at that man. Listen to that man. When that man speaking, you see anybody else on the political platform are speaking so intelligent like Mr. Norton and his team. Come on, guys, people, what more we need to be seen for this election? And we got to hold all hands together and make certain that everything that happened at the police station, we must record, we must video, take a video. This time a long time. Everything we must have in our phone. As the slips up, take them out. As the brimps up, take them out, guys. These people, let us wake up. We got to put a foot on this election. It already rigged. And thank God for all the social media them that got this PPP shit in the can load of shit, shit in the trench load of shit, shit in the black tank load of shit. There's no retreat, no surrender. The PPP, y'all can't rig this one and get out this time. This time is the time that we have to hold these people as all this possible accountability. Don't bother with the police commissioner that crazy frack the other day and come talking up now. Come on, bro. When Adriana was murdered, where was you? You keep in the press conference, you will come out big and broad now. The police are all wrong. Eh? We cannot trust the guy in the police force. That's what we have to be as a citizen now, to rally around our ballot boxes them. Like how we always used to do. The police force are thief, the most thieving entity in this country right now, the most lied and thieving entity in this country right now. The police force are most murderous. So we cannot trust y'all. We cannot trust y'all police. Trust me. We're gonna be watching y'all left, right, and center. And your viewers, y'all have a blessed day. Couple more days to go. Guyanese people, we wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Karaki, blessings and good morning to you, my brother. I hope all is well. Blessings to the members of the diaspora. Blessings to listeners from the four corners of the globe. Karaki, this morning I want to put our scripture from the Bible. The book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 9, stated, "Behold, I give you power, and give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemies, and nothing shall by any means hurt us members of the APNU coalition." Karaki, this morning I just want to open the eyes of the Guyanese people. The first caller that called in on your program and give his contribution, that gentleman is spot on. And that is to show the Guyanese people the kind of government that governing a country. The kind of people that govern in a country. Guyana is a country with all different race. But Bharat Jagdeo and his cabal feel that they own everything and nobody else shouldn't be in charge of the resources of the country more than he and his people. But Karaki, I will tell Bharat Jagdeo this morning, Bharat Jagdeo, no matter what you do, you ain't greater than God. You're not powerful more than God. And everybody seen, the observer seen, God seen, the people around seen, and by that, Bharat Jagdeo, you're going to lose this election, but you done lost already. You trying to win this by dishonest means and gains because then of your way. The Bible says that a way that seemeth right unto a man, and the end thereof is death. Bharat, accept defeat. Accept defeat. The people tired, the people fed up of your way. You are not sincere. Guyanese suffer for years before oil, suffer rice and sugar, gold and bauxite. And well, you're so fortunate that oil emerged. And before you treat the people nice and loving, you just want to live in Guyana as a king. As a king, and you have a kingdom. And you want to give the people and them what you think is best for them. And you must live like a king by the seawall. Bharat, it will work. It will not work. I think you should accept defeat. And, well, you can't go in the sunset, you know, because there's a lot of things that you have to answer for, right? So, Kakaraki, this is my contribution this morning, and I can't wait to whine. I can't wait to whine. I'm out. I'm listening.
Kidaki, morning. Now, from the time the 2015 election was finished, people were calling for biometric. Why didn't GCOM adhere to that? This 2025 election got consequences. I am telling you. Let Orphan Ali and Jack Dio, they don't play with people. What come, Sadu? I just pray and ask God for his intervention. But whatever will be, will be. I don't want the family them. Vote and I go home. Go home. And let who put in ballot box under the house or in the mouse, let them take chances. What comes to do? Interbeniba make Kwashiba take notice. So them better take notice.
Good morning, Kadaki. Kadaki, this election is determined by a slim majority. There are not a lot of people following Mohammed. And I know there's no black people following Mohammed too. And if the black people really want justice with Gianna Young, the Henry boys, and those that were locked up by this wicked regime, they would vote solidly for APNU. Okay? Mohammed cannot win this election. The APNU have a larger body of electorates, and you should vote for Mohammed. You reduce the chances of getting justice. And Mohammed and people get no good track record. So you know why people should run behind them. We Mohammed when they bulldoze and close it Moko. We Mohammed when the girl was shot from allegedly from Freedom House. Okay, we were Mohammed. He said his gun was used by them. He gave Freedom House gun during the time when they had them prisoner break and all kind of thing. Mohammed been buried them when all them young black men were being killed. People, y'all get sense here. A vote for Mohammed will reduce the chance of getting justice for Gianna Young and other black people that were killed. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Guyanese, especially those blacks and C and them who run into women and please. This thing is set up one way. Don't worry about the big shenanigans. This thing is set up one way. Bharat and them, if they get 2/3 majority in the house, as the old Bharat setting up for forget the 2/3 majority, so change all them la. And black man wouldn't have no say anymore. Plus, no black people can't meet up no with it. The last one they were making so against we black people. the votes are there for Mohammed Ali. Please keep it to the APNU, because anytime the two of them get 2,000 majority in the house, they go merge and put me through hell. Morning.
Let the whole of Guyana turn up at Pradoville and rant and tear and ransack the whole building. You understand me? We have to prepare to deal seriously with some of our own color. We have to prepare to deal with some black people too, got the house slave. And if I am to do something, I will do it to the house slaves first. Destroy your color, because they're going to put them in front. They're going to put those black people in front who are going to vote with the body cam and camera and pen and all these things. You understand me? They are only going and do those things to eat today. What about tomorrow? I know for sure if the PPP go back there, I'm going to see a bundle of white mouth black man walking around the place. That is what they're preparing for? Is that what they're going and vote to PPP for? They are ungrateful. I think black people were really meant to be slaves. Yes, bye.
Morning, Mr. Amsterdam. My thing this morning is that all the shenanigans that going on, naive my babe and suckling in the cradle would accept this bullshit. And when the PPPC is like when you're going to school small days and you're giving last lick. When the last lick is heavier than the harder lick, you fool. Once the PPPC that they're not getting opposition, they go on to some stupid stuff. But who wants sleep, let them sleep. Who eyes open and awoke ain't gonna take this shit. Because this is serious reckoning. People ain't gonna take it. This is some bullshit crap these people behave with. Couple days away from election, you looking for move polling station. This like where the real thing happening, you're bringing in all kind of thing to move the attention from there. What wrong with these people? What they believe that this country is theirs? They're dunce like bullshit and doing a set of bull nonsense too, and make the opposition looking like more worse than them. The opposition better wake up. This time, passion gonna buy low over that they're gonna see blood before they know it's real blood. This is my contribution this morning. And Claudette, she must prepare for go to jail. She have to go to jail. You're ducking and moving if you're not able and competent to do the work, come the shit out of the place. The other people think, look when Granger they put in the election commission, they rental to the CCJ and they get a man removed. And this banner Vishnu, he don't know shit. He does like when our shit splatter all over the road. Why they got him there? They don't even know what they're doing. We gotta get to be real. These people putting you in some position whereby like we dumb than them. Come on, man.
Good morning, Kadaki, and good morning to our listeners. I want to make one last call to the women, mothers, sisters, wives, daughters, grandmothers. I want to make a call to all women. Look at the state. Look at the treatment that is being given to women for the past 5 years. Women are treated like nothing. Women are killed in a flash. Look back beyond 5 years at the APNU rule just for that short period of time and check and compare how many women were murdered and check it with this time now. How many women were abused, and those abused that have gone unnoticed because they are taking place in offices and so on. And even some in offices, you see it on video. Remember with that minister. Check these things out and vote APNU. You will be treated respectedly.
Mr. Gadaki, you know what does be painful? When Jagios sit down and make all them nasty, stinking decision, and GCOM following GCOM is not taking nobody else advice but Bara Jagio. And what does be hurtful? At the end of the day, Bara Jagio sit down in front of TV and watching black people fight among themselves. Police killing black man. Police don't shoot Kuli. Kuli shooting black man. And that does be hurtful. And next thing, it is alleged that Mia Motley is in the middle of this election again. Why she can't look after her country? Every damn day is a killing. Why she don't look after that? She come back in here. She want more money again. And the government feeding she with money. Look how much money the government put in GCOM, and still your GCOM can't be right. They gotta find somewhere to stop GCOM. They have to find a way to stop this election, either by fair means or foul means, something. And when the election done, and Jagyo go swearing early midnight or mid-morning, it mustn't happen. It mustn't happen. The police should deal with them till they're asleep. You know that they're asleep.
Kodaki, good morning. All those black people that running behind Mohammed, they're running behind Mohammed for handout, for what they could get now. They are not looking at the future ahead of them. They're looking if he go and they go to the meeting, he give them a money for attend. That is all they're looking for. What they want in the man now. They may looking at the future ahead and what not enough for them. I sorry for them.
It is now 22 minutes to the 10 o'clock hour. You've been tuned to the Guyanese Morning Time. I have been your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Have a pleasant rest of the day. My responsibility is to bring you information, give you an opportunity to express yourselves, and you can take it from there. Much love. Peace and love is the message. Goodbye now.